Hello, hello, and welcome back. Uh, we are going to be moving into our first session of the day after the keynote, the digital sales playbook. If you're just joining us, um, please know that if you'd like to ask any questions, make sure to enter those into the chat area that is on the page you're viewing this video on right now. So, in session one, the digital sales playbook, sales operation leaders are now have a seat at the executive table. A digital sales playbook is essential to success, especially when integrating organizations post acquisition. Today, we're going to learn how firms are leveraging Salesforce to transform their sales playbook and drive positive post deal economics to gain a long term leadership position. Our speakers for today is going to be James. He's a solution architect here at Sikich. James is a technology enthusiast well versed in business solutions to aid digital transformation. He has extensive experience with CPQ, enjoys expanding his skill set and sharing knowledge with others. We also have Matt Mountain, a partner here on Sikich's technology team, specializing in Salesforce implementation, enhancement, and support services. Matt has over 30 years of experience as a consultant, working with a variety of financial service firms from startup companies to Fortune 500. He uses his knowledge of Salesforce and his experience in client services to expertly translate what clients want into a specification that they purchase. Thank you, James and Matt, for being here today. You guys can go ahead and take it away.
All right, great. Well, thanks for having us. So, what we're going to be doing is talking through really from a Salesforce standpoint around digital sales and everything associated to that. And so, I'm going to start out and talk through some of the things that I've seen over those past 30 years. The good news is I've been working with CRM systems for 26 years. So I've got quite a bit of experience in terms of the good and the bad, in terms of what works. And then James is going to take over and really talk about how Salesforce is solving some of those problems. So if we could transition to the slide. Next slide, please. And what I'd like to do is talk through some of these. And again, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a firm believer in CRM. And my motto is always, for every minute I spend putting data into the CRM, it's got to save me 2 minutes. And so as I've worked with a number of companies over the years, and even one of the companies I worked with many years ago, one of the interesting things that I noticed among professional services firms, and those professional services firms may be 100% professional services, or maybe professional services that also have a product that they sell or provide as part of their solution, is a lack of consistency across proposal templates. I was working with a vendor, a month ago, and I was working with a vendor trying to get a deal closed, and it was amazing to me that over the course of the past 6 months, the client used different proposal templates, nothing matched up, confused the prospect, and it ended up not coming to fruition. And especially with people now working everywhere. You know, it used to be you're in the office and sales meetings once a week, face to face, but now with people working everywhere, we need to have consistency around these templates. And it's amazing to me how many firms I've seen that don't have consistency across those templates, both in terms of the look and feel, but in terms of also how it's presented. Some people present it in Excel, some people present it in email, some people actually do PDFs. But the true inconsistency there. Another one is, what's the price? So in Salesforce and other systems, you can manage price books, and price books are also, used quite a bit in ERP systems. So the government may have one price, GE may have another price. Smaller non-Fortune 500 may have a different price. So you can have different price books for each client or each type of client. And those price books are used to, as you're going through and quoting, you want to select the right price book so that you can get the right pricing for that client. You don't want to present the same product on two different quotes to the same customer with different numbers. So there's this thing called price books. And I've seen where different price books are being used. An implementation for a professional services firm that also had a product. They do an implementation of their product, but also enhance it. And I saw in 3 separate proposals, the implementation cost be $7,000, $12,000, and $25,000, and nothing changed. So inconsistency across price books is a big thing, especially now with people being spread out everywhere. So it's really important to manage pricing across customers. And then from a quoting standpoint, quotes that lack consistency. So again, as you're quoting, and when you quote the first time, if the client says, great, let's move forward, that's great. But the reality is you need to change something on the quote. Or over time, they may say, thank you, I'm not ready to do anything. Let's revisit in 3 months. And in three months, you're going to update the quote because something inevitably changes. When that happens, it's important to be using the same quote template. And the number of organizations that do not have consistency across that is directly addressable because of lack of consistency in quoting out of the CRM system. So we're going to talk about that. The next one is really around approval processes. So when I talk to organizations, some have approval processes, some don't. But those that do, when I ask them, I say, okay, what's the approval process? Is it based on the product? Is it based on the customer? Is it based on the discount? And if it's based on the discount, is it based on the discount of that product or the overall sale? So there's a number of factors that can go into approvals being needed. And so when you think about that, is it based upon approvals being needed? Is it based upon where it has to go to my manager, my manager's manager? And there's can be a lot of different rules in place. Well, what's to prevent a rep from just quoting it without getting an approval? Well, if you don't have the system in place in order to be able to do that, that's going to be a big problem. So approvals can be very simple, such as if I discount the whole deal over 10%, it's got to go to my manager. Or they can be very complex. But to put those in place to solve the business problem without a system in place is very, very hard to do. Another one is client renewals. And, for example, if you're in the group benefits business, well, you have clients that need to renew benefits. It's hard to miss those renewals. But if you're in professional services, you may be selling a managed service product. You may be selling support on a service or an application that you've built. And it's amazing how many firms are missing recurring revenue upon the renewal of that solution. So you implement it in January of 2021. And the renewal, which could be 20% or it could be just a fixed amount per month, gets renewed on January of 2022. But if a system's not in place to remind somebody, yeah, it might be in the accounting system that billing goes from January to December. But if there's nothing that triggers an additional invoice, there's a lot of money that's left on the table. And again, without a CRM system in place in order to proactively notify you, that's tough. So when you think about Salesforce or just CRM in general, when an opportunity gets closed and it's for a service that could renew, you need to have that renewal created automatically. Don't leave it up to the salespeople, because it may not happen. And then also, visibility. I've worked on some deals that take years. I've worked with vendors that change reps. And when new reps come in, it's very important for those reps to be able to see what that history is. Oftentimes, that history is stuck in email or Excel, and there's not really a good repository to really understand everything that you've been doing with that client or prospect over the years. So when people are in an office, it's tough for some of those. When they're spread out, it's even harder. So those are the challenges over the 26 years that I've been using a CRM that I've seen from a number of clients. So what I'd like to do is now transition to James, who's going to talk through how these challenges can be solved by using Salesforce.
Great. Thanks, Matt. If you could go to the slide I have produced before. Great. Perfect. So circling back into a lot of these points that Matt just made, I'm going to kind of talk through what CPQ can kind of do to help companies and businesses kind of work through these issues that come up. So to start off with improved quote accuracy. So there's many tools that CPQ can help with this. It allows you to have like an insight into guided selling, which helps new reps and even veteran reps have a better idea of how to sell. It'll allow you to kind of streamline your process for selling. There's also contracted pricing. Contracted pricing allows you to kind of set different prices by the account. This can be helpful for limiting the amount of price books that you might need, offering special deals to these customers as well. So if you're working with a larger customer, you're going to want to offer them a certain pricing that maybe you won't offer a smaller customer. And contracted pricing can help with that. It allows you to set start and end dates, so you can run promotional deals as well. Which can give them kind of that specialized treatment that they're looking for in this digital world that we live in now. It also allows you to have price and product rules that can limit the amount of discounts or pricing that you give a customer. It also helps with them building out their quotes. So say you have a product A that needs to go with a product B and C. Instead of your reps going through the process of having to manually add those in the quote editor, they will click that product, and these product rules will automatically add those products with the proper quantities to that quote. This will help them save time. It'll help them not have to go back and fix a quote that they might have forgotten this information on. It automatically just pulls it right in. This also helps you identify areas where maybe your reps aren't selling as well. So with the improved accuracy of it, you're providing a customer with a proper, accurate quote, no matter who they're working with. With larger sales teams, there might be 4 or 5 people that might work with an end user, and you want to make sure that they have the same experience throughout. And this kind of goes back to Matt's point about having a streamlined output document, which is a downstream impact. This starts here where you're giving them continued pricing. It's accurate. They know it's going to be right. And you're not having to go back to that customer at the end of this deal and having to renegotiate pricing because it's going out right the first time. Then transitioning to the complex quoting, this kind of helps as well. Going back to the points where I already mentioned, where it allows you to meet those needs of the customers. They could be looking at providing services, subscriptions. They might have unique pricing and discounts. CPQ allows you to kind of mold and shift your platform in order to offer those specialized pricing and provide that customer with the unique experience that they might be looking for. That would allow you to kind of separate yourself from the competitors. A lot of customers are looking for streamlined, quick turnaround quotes that make them feel like they're being listened to. So this kind of gives you that ability to offer them any kind of structure that they might need to fit into what their needs are. And Salesforce CPQ has many tools for that. It also allows you to set up approvals for these complex quoting opportunities that can learn with you as you go through. So as you're doing approvals, you're not having to run through the whole approval process when a quote gets pushed back or makes changes. CPQ allows you to focus on those areas that were need to be reapproved. So it also streamlines that process as well. And that kind of helps with turnaround and kind of just no one getting stuck with an approval that they've already made an approval for. And it just makes it a better overall experience for your internal reps and your end users. Sliding into aligning standard sales processes, CPQ really allows you to kind of see your full sales process from leads to an account, to an opportunity, to a quote, and to finally closing that out and getting a contract. It gives you that insight into how long your quotes are taking, which can provide training benefits for your internal users, which can help you kind of figure out where the pain points are and help get a better turnaround on your quotes. It also allows you to have better insight into reporting. So that will be a big benefit into the processes of being able to maybe find areas where you can upsell your products. It also allows your reps to kind of see what they've already sold to those potential customers, which can give them kind of that unique experience where you can speak upon what they already own. This also allows you to set up certain rules that will only allow reps to sell certain items that maybe would need to be sold with other products. They can look back at previous quotes or even assets that the customer has and be able to provide them with the correct product that they would need to sell with those other products or assets. This kind of takes the guessing work out. It makes the customer feel like they're special to them. It kind of gives them that focalized experience that they kind of are striving for that may not have been as easily attainable outside of the digital world. But now with all these tools that we have, it's a lot easier, and it's almost becoming expected that the customer history is kind of in front of the sales reps and they kind of understand what they're selling to. This also makes it a little easier for those sales reps. Instead of having to search through files or look at old quotes, they can quickly have the tools in front of them that would allow them to offer those products and close out that opportunity quicker, and hopefully maybe even upsell some more products to them. And then lastly, looking at increased upselling and historical tracking on existing assets. So kind of going back to what I just said, this gives you that in-depth insight into kind of what they've been sold already. It gives you some data points to see what they have. So for an example, if you have a customer, you have a group of customers that have a certain product that needs to be upgraded next year, you'll be able to kind of quickly look into Salesforce and see which of those customers are potential upsell opportunities and where they can be upgraded. It gives you a good idea of what you'll be selling. It allows you to kind of forecast better as well with those different data points that you might not be able to see without using CPQ. You won't have to go into Excel spreadsheets and grab pricing that might not be up to date. You'll be able to kind of see that day what they need to be offered, and kind of just gives you a better overall experience internally as well as externally when you're dealing with the end user. This platform CPQ also gives you 24/7 access. So especially in the digital world, if you're selling across the globe, you're not able, you need to have access to this tool 24/7. So that kind of gives you the ability to have reps across the globe be able to access this information and be confident that it's accurate, and they will be able to provide their end users with an accurate quote. There's also the good benefits of automatic renewals creation. So CPQ allows you to, once a contract has been completed, especially if it's a subscription-based contract, you can set it up so that renewals are automatically created in your system. You can set those up to be 90 or 60 days before they actually become due, which then allows you to kind of forecast a bit better for those customers that are coming due, and you can start preparing a renewal strategy. So then you can kind of start upselling or planning to upsell with your team. And you can kind of start working that deal to see if there's any improvements. CPQ also allows you to make additional changes to your current contract. So say your customer, you sign them for 100 seats of a subscription, and they come back 6 months later and they want to do 250. CPQ allows you to quickly go in and make that update through an amendment, and quickly turn around and offer them the contract and get them quickly up to speed, so they can get those 250 seats and you can get the revenue in, which can be helpful for all teams, and just overall your team selling. And then lastly, CPQ, it's designed to be shaped and molded, as I mentioned before, to kind of fit any customer and selling process. Finding the right help, like at Sikich, to help you transform your current sales process into CPQ is something that we would love to do, and something that could be very beneficial to your overall business. And that is all I have. If there's any questions.
Okay, well, thanks so much, James and Matt. Let's check on a few questions here. Okay, I don't know who this goes to, so I'm going to say it out loud and you guys fight over it.
James.
Actually, I think this one is James. Okay, what pricing methods are available in CPQ?
Yeah, so there's many. There's you can do contracted pricing, which allows you to kind of give that special pricing to end users. There's standard pricing. And some other pricing too that I mentioned was discount schedules. So you can offer that kind of pricing as well that helps with your price. There's also block pricing. That kind of gives you the ability to sell in groups. So if you had different blocks of maybe 1 to 50, 50 to 100, you could offer special pricing off of how much they actually ended up ordering. So you can kind of provide a better pricing the more items that they end up ordering.
Next question, how can my sales team use guided selling?
Matt, do you want me to take this one? Oh,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
So it depends. So guided selling is great for trying to help your sales reps kind of pinpoint what they should offer a customer. So if they have like a certain need, like they need a certain server that has a certain storage, by using guided selling, it kind of gives you that ability to pinpoint down on what they can actually offer them. There's also the ability to look at previous orders as well and contracts, where they can take that information and also provide them with some insight into what they should offer them. It helps streamline it, especially useful for those new sales reps that might not know what to offer. It gives them a couple questions that they can answer, and it kind of makes it easier for them to kind of start learning, as well as offer that end user the products that they would be interested in and what would fit their needs.
Awesome. Well, James and Matt, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you for being here today. After the break, we are talking about digital leadership with Ariel and Cameron. We'll see you in a little bit.